Hello learners, welcome to Unfold You, your favorite digital learning platform. I am Meenu Agarwal, your biology subject mentor. In the previous video, we discussed about photosynthesis, we discussed about nutrition. In this video, we will take up the next topic, that is respiration. So, what is respiration? Let us understand this first. Now, we will discuss in this topic about respiration in the different organisms. We will discuss about respiration in the plants. We will discuss the whole respiratory system present inside the human beings, right? Now, what is respiration? First of all, let us define the word respiration, right? Respiration, we say, it is a multi-step, माने बहुत सारे स्टेप्स वाला प्रोसेस है, मल्टी स्टेप प्रोसेस, राइट, इन विच देयर इज ऑक्सीडेटिव breakdown of glucose. Right? I'll repeat. What is respiration? It is a multi-step process in which there is breakdown of glucose in the presence of oxygen, or you can say there is oxidative breakdown of glucose. We represent this process with this equation, C6H12O6, right? That is glucose in the presence of 6 molecules of oxygen, right? It will break down to give six molecules of carbon dioxide, 6 molecules of water, plus 38 ATP molecules of ATP, 38 ATP molecules, 38 molecules of ATP are formed, right? So, huge amount of energy is liberated during the oxidative breakdown of the glucose. Now, let us compare the two processes. One is respiration, another is photosynthesis. Photosynthesis we discussed in the previous video, right? Respiration, it is a catabolic process. As you can see, there is a breakdown of glucose. So, I will say respiration is a catabolic process. Photosynthesis, as you have seen earlier, it is anabolic. In what happens in photosynthesis? Synthesis of glucose, synthesis of carbohydrates, and those carbohydrates are used up in the respiration in the presence of oxygen to produce energy, which is 38 ATP molecules, or I can say 686 kilocalories of energy is released, right? So, if we compare the two, respiration and photosynthesis, respiration is catabolic, photosynthesis is anabolic process. During respiration, what is happening? What is being formed? As you can see, carbon dioxide is liberated. What is being formed? What is being obtained as a product? Carbon dioxide. But in photosynthesis, this carbon dioxide is used up for the process of synthesis of glucose. So, what is liberated here? Oxygen is formed. I hope the differences are clear between respiration and photosynthesis, right? Now, let us understand the various steps involved in the process of respiration, right? So, what are the steps involved in the process of respiration? 4 steps we will discuss. First is breathing. The whole process we study under 4 different headings, or we can say 4 steps are involved in the process of respiration. Breathing, then external respiration, then we have internal respiration, and last of all, cellular respiration. I hope 4 points are clear to you. Breathing means simply the exchange of gases with the outside medium. Exchange of what? Oxygen and carbon dioxide. External respiration, when these gases are exchanged at the respiratory surface, when exchange takes place at respiratory surface, that is inside the lungs when the exchange takes place. So that is called as this is external respiration. Then when this exchange or the oxygen and carbon dioxide is exchanged with the cells and tissues, at the tissue level, when exchange of gases takes place, we call it as internal respiration. Lastly, what is cellular respiration? When this oxygen which is being exchanged, it is utilized for the breakdown of respiratory substrate and carbon dioxide is produced, that is called as cellular respiration. I'll repeat the steps again. When exchange takes place with the outside medium, that is called as breathing, simply taking in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide. When this exchange of gases takes place at the respiratory surface at the level of alveoli present in the lungs, we call it as external respiration. When these gases are taken inside the tissues and the cells, their exchange of gases takes place, that is called as internal respiration. And when that oxygen is being used for the breakdown of the respiratory substrate to liberate carbon dioxide, that is called as cellular respiration. I hope you understand all the steps involved, right? Now let us see how respiration takes place in the plants. Animals respire, so plants also, they need to respire. They also need to take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. So respiration in plants. But here I would say one thing. In case of plants, the rate of respiration is slow. So how respiration is taking place in the plants? It is mainly taking place by diffusion, right? So how respiration occurs in plants, it is mainly by diffusion के द्वारा होता है, right? और कैसे डिफरेंस क्या है रेस्पिरेशन इन प्लांट्स और एनिमल्स को अगर हम देखें तो प्लांट्स में जो प्रोसेस है रेस्पिरेशन का, इट इज कंपैरेटिवली स्लोअर. अब हम कहेंगे ये स्लो क्यों है? बिकॉज प्लांट्स दे डू नॉट मूव फ्रॉम प्लेस टू प्लेस. मूव नहीं करते तो देयर एनर्जी expenditure, I would say, is less. Energy expenditure is less as compared to animals. Is that clear? तो 3 points यहाँ पे clear करने वाले हैं. Respiration in plants की बात करेंगे जो mainly diffusion से exchange take place करता है, right? और it is comparatively slow as compared to animals. Why it is slow? Because they don't move from one place to another and they don't require that much energy as compared to animals. Is that clear to you? Right? So this is respiration in plants. So if we say how in different parts respiration is taking place, in case of young roots, so what happens? The exchange, there is diffusion of gases from epidermal cells into internal cells of roots, right? यंग रूट्स की बात करें तो कैसे हो रहा है एक्सचेंज? डिफ्यूजन गैसेस की होती है एपिडर्मल सेल्स से इनटू द इंटरनल सेल्स ऑफ द रूट्स. इन केस ऑफ ओल्डर स्टेम्स और I would say older roots also, इनमें ऐसे स्ट्रक्चर्स प्रेजेंट हैं, पोर्स प्रेजेंट हैं जिनको हम क्या कहते हैं? लेंटिसेल्स. क्या प्रेजेंट हैं ओल्ड स्टेम एंड रूट्स में? लेंटिसेल्स which help in the exchange of the gases. In case of leaves, how this exchange takes place? Through these structures which are called as stomata. Is that right? So respiration in plants, that is comparatively slower as compared to animals. In case of young roots, it takes place from the epidermal cells into the internal cells. In older roots, it takes place through the lenticels. In case of leaves, कैसे? Through the stomata. I hope this introductory part of respiration is clear to you. Now let us see the different slides showing the respiration, a definition of respiration, and then we will come to types of respiration. So what is respiration? The process of releasing energy From where? From food. The process of releasing energy from the food is called respiration. It involves taking in oxygen and using it for releasing energy by burning the food and then eliminating the waste products. Right? So process of respiration involves taking in oxygen into the cells and releasing it and using it for releasing energy by burning the food and giving out waste products. What are the waste products? Carbon dioxide. One is carbon dioxide, another is water, and plus energy is released here, and this energy, I would say it is 38 ATP molecules as we have discussed. Right? Now the process of respiration which releases energy, it takes place inside the cells of the body, and this is called as cellular respiration. I told you when oxygen which is taken inside is used for the breaking down of the respiratory substrate, and that breakdown of respiratory substrate releases energy, right? Releases huge amount of energy in the form of ATP molecules. That is called as cellular respiration. It is essential for life. Why? Because it provides energy for carrying out all the activities, all the vital life processes. So this is about respiration. What is all involved in the process of respiration? Now let us perform an activity to show that carbon dioxide is produced during respiration. What is produced during respiration? We want to show carbon dioxide. And this carbon dioxide is taken up by photosynthesis. किस लिए? Food बनाने के लिए. Right? Now let us see what is happening in this activity. We are taking two test tube. एक ली हमने test tube A, एक को नाम दिया test tube B. दोनों में हमने one third like this much. How much? 1/3. What we have taken? Lime water. Both the test tubes we take lime water fill it up to 1/3 of the test tube. Right? तो एक test tube A में हमने क्या लगाया है? Syringe. या फिर हम इसको पिचकारी भी बोलते हैं. राइट? तो हम क्या करेंगे? इस सिरिंज या पिचकारी की हेल्प से, राइट, इस ट्यूब के थ्रू इस लाइम वाटर में क्या ऐड करेंगे? क्या प्रेस करेंगे? एयर प्रेस करेंगे. राइट? एयर विल पास into this test tube. राइट? क्या लिया हमने? दो टेस्ट ट्यूब. इन दोनों में क्या लिया? 1/3 लाइम वाटर डाल दिया. एक में हमने पिचकारी लगा दी, एक ट्यूब के साथ फिट कर दी, और उस पिचकारी के द्वारा हमने क्या करना है? एयर पुश करनी है उसके अंदर. और सेकेंड टेस्ट ट्यूब में हमने क्या लिया है? अगेन लाइम वाटर, एंड वी एक्सेल विद द हेल्प ऑफ सम ट्यूब लगाया है, ट्यूब को माउथ से टच किया, और उसमें हम एक्सेल आउट करेंगे, ब्रीद आउट करेंगे. राइट? And what we will observe immediately we breathe out, what happens here? The lime water turns milky. Immediately after we breathe out, immediately I say within no time, right? जैसे ही हमने exhale out किया तो lime water जो है it will turn milky. Milky क्यों हो गया? Due to the presence of calcium carbonate. This shows lime water changed into calcium carbonate. Right? Milkiness is because of the formation of calcium carbonate. It proves that something went inside from our mouth into the lime water. What was it? Carbon dioxide. So it proves that carbon dioxide is what we have exhaled out into the lime water. It has been produced during respiration. अब इस पिचकारी के थ्रू जब हम एयर पास करेंगे तो इसमें भी एयर में भी कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड है, बट अमाउंट ऑफ कंसंट्रेशन विल बी कंपैरेटिवली लेसर जो इसमें पास होगी लाइम वाटर में. तो इसमें जो है आफ्टर सर्टेन टाइम, कुछ टाइम के बाद वी विल फाइंड मिल्कीनेस in the lime water. कुछ टाइम के बाद इसमें मिल्कीनेस अपीयर होगी, which proves that concentration of carbon dioxide entered into this from air was lesser as compared to the air we exhaled out. Right? So it proves, this experiment proves that what we have exhaled out from our mouth, that was carbon dioxide. Right? So what we have done here, we are trying to prove that carbon dioxide is produced during respiration. What we have done, take some freshly prepared lime water in a test tube, blow air through this lime water, right? Note how long it takes to turn milky. In first case, we have taken syringe or pichkari to pass the air through some fresh water and, right, to pass the air, right, in fresh water taken in another test tube, right. Note how long it takes for this lime water to turn milky. एक में हमने क्या किया, syringe से पास किया, और दूसरे में हमने air पास की directly through the mouth taken in another test tube, right. So it takes longer time to turn milky water to turn milky in the case where we have used pichkari, and within no time it turns milky in the water in the test tube where we have exhaled out through our mouth. So this activity proves that it is the carbon dioxide which is produced during the process of respiration, right. Now let us come to different types of respiration, right. We have respiration is a common mostly found in all the organisms, right, whether we talk of lower organisms like bacteria, yeast, or we talk of higher organisms, but the types are different. Some respiration is taking place in the presence of oxygen, and some respiration takes place without oxygen. So the respiration which takes place in the presence of oxygen is called aerobic, and which takes place in the absence of oxygen, that is called anaerobic oxygen. Now let me tell you one more thing. In case of aerobic respiration, the carbon dioxide is the byproduct along with water. But in case of anaerobic respiration, the product formed is different. It is ethyl alcohol, right? So ethyl alcohol is formed as a byproduct. It may be lactic acid also, which is formed as a byproduct, right? So amount of energy formed also is different in both the case of respirations. In case of aerobic respiration, large amount of energy is produced. That is, we have seen 38, it may be 36 also, as the case may be. But in case of anaerobic respiration, only 2 ATP molecules are produced. Is that right? Right? Now let us compare the two types of respiration. Aerobic respiration, it takes place in the presence of oxygen. Anaerobic, it takes place in the absence of oxygen. In aerobic respiration, very important, there is complete oxidation of glucose, complete breakdown of glucose. Here there is incomplete breakdown of glucose molecules. So this is very important point, right? What happens in aerobic respiration while large amount of energy is being produced? Because there is complete oxidation of glucose. Here there is incomplete oxidation of glucose molecules. Here end products formed are carbon dioxide and water. Here we have ethyl alcohol or lactic acid, right, and carbon dioxide. Here we have 38 ATP molecules which are liberated. We have 2 ATP molecules in case of anaerobic respiration. It is taking place both in plants and animal cells, but anaerobic respiration takes place in bacteria, yeast, or in the human muscle cells. So this is the equation in both the cases. Here we have 1 molecule of glucose using 6 molecules of oxygen, right? Gives you 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, 6 molecules of water, plus 686 kilocalories or 38 ATP molecules of energy. Here, 1 molecule of glucose gives you 2 molecules of ethyl alcohol, 2 molecules of carbon dioxide, and only 56 kilocalories of energy. So you can very well compare the two types of respiration, right? Now, let us see how the glucose breaks down. Different pathways of the breakdown of the glucose. Right? Now glucose breaks down using different methods, right? It can break down under aerobic respiration, or it can break down under anaerobic respiration, right? Now anaerobic respiration mainly takes place in the bacteria and yeast. This anaerobic respiration where ethyl alcohol is formed, right? This lactic acid is formed. This process of anaerobic respiration is widely used in baking industry where breads are being formed, or in some brewing industry to prepare wine, whiskey, all these, right? So this is important in those industries, right? Now let us see. Now glucose breaks down to form pyruvate. One thing I will share here, the breakdown of glucose to form pyruvate, right, in cytoplasm. I'm not using this word in the presence of oxygen. I'm leaving this for the time being, right? Glucose क्या बनाता है? पाइरुवेट और एनर्जी। कहाँ टेक प्लेस करता है? साइटोप्लाज्म में। और इस प्रोसेस को हम क्या कहते हैं? ग्लाइकोलाइसिस। ग्लाइको माने ग्लूकोज की ब्रेकडाउन। कहाँ टेक प्लेस करता है? साइटोप्लाज्म में। दिस मेथड इज कॉमन टू बोथ द टाइप्स ऑफ रेस्पिरेशन। चाहे एरोबिक हो चाहे एनारोबिक हो, दोनों का कॉमन स्टेप है। कौन सा? ग्लूकोज ब्रेक्स डाउन टू फॉर्म पाइरुवेट। कहाँ होगा? साइटोप्लाज्म में होगा। अब ये जो पाइरुवेट बनेगा, 6 कार्बन कंपाउंड है ये क्या करेगा? अलग अलग पाथवे से अलग अलग प्रोडक्ट्स बना सकता है, राइट? डिपेंड करता है ये एरोबिक ब्रेकडाउन में जा रहा है या यीस्ट में टेक प्लेस करेगा या फिर सम मसल सेल्स में टेक प्लेस करेगा, right? So if this pyruvate enters into mitochondria, if this pyruvate enters into aerobic respiration, which is happening in mitochondria, right, which is in the presence of oxygen. So I'll complete this step here. Glucose in the presence of oxygen in cytoplasm forms pyruvate and enters into mitochondria. Again in the presence of oxygen forms carbon dioxide, water and energy. Is that clear? अगर aerobic respiration है तो ये सारा presence of oxygen में चलेगा रिएक्शन। क्या? ग्लूकोज पहले पाइरुवेट में ब्रेक डाउन करेगा। पाइरुवेट विल ब्रेक डाउन इनटू वाटर, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एंड एनर्जी। कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड, वाटर एंड एनर्जी, राइट? अगर ये जो स्टेप है ग्लूकोज इनटू पाइरुवेट, इट इज हैपनिंग इन द यीस्ट सेल्स या फिर हम बैक्टीरिया भी कह सकते हैं। इट इज हैपनिंग इन द यीस्ट सेल्स और सम बैक्टीरिया, right? It is happening in the absence of oxygen. Here also I will write absence of oxygen in case of anaerobic. अगर ये एनारोबिक रेस्पिरेशन का केस है तो यहाँ पे एब्सेंस ऑफ ऑक्सीजन में चलेगा ये रिएक्शन, इन द एब्सेंस ऑफ ऑक्सीजन, राइट? सो ग्लूकोज विल ब्रेक डाउन इनटू पाइरुवेट। कहाँ पे होगा? साइटोप्लाज्म में। कैसे होगा? एब्सेंस ऑफ ऑक्सीजन में। क्या बनाएगा? इथेनॉल, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एंड एनर्जी, राइट? आई टोल्ड यू ये जो प्रोसेस है बहुत हेल्पफुल है। कहाँ पे? बेकरी में, बेकिंग इंडस्ट्री में, जहाँ ब्रेड तैयार करते हैं। आपने देखा होगा ब्रेड में होल्स होते हैं। होल्स किस वजह से होते हैं? क्योंकि कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड प्रोड्यूस होती है एंड दैट लीव्स द होल्स बिहाइंड इन द डो, राइट? प्लस वाइन, विस्की, ऑल दोज things, they are prepared by this process where there is breakdown of glucose in the absence of oxygen, right? So this is what we also call it as fermentation भी कह सकते हैं। इसको हम एक और नाम दे सकते हैं, ये एनारोबिक स्टेप को हम एक और नाम दे सकते हैं which is called fermentation, राइट? फिर आ जाओ नेक्स्ट स्टेप जो कि मसल सेल्स, ह्यूमन सेल्स। अब आप सोचेंगे कि क्या ह्यूमंस में कभी एनारोबिक रेस्पिरेशन नहीं होती? होती है। जैसे कि हम बहुत तेज दौड़ रहे हैं या हम बहुत विगरस एक्सरसाइजेस कर रहे हैं, मीनिंग फास्ट एक्सरसाइजेस कर रहे हैं, उस दौरान क्या होता है कि एक स्टेज आती है जब ऑक्सीजन की कमी हो जाती है बॉडी में। उतनी ऑक्सीजन नहीं मिल पाती जितनी की एनर्जी प्रोडक्शन के लिए चाहिए। एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस्ड इज मोर बट ऑक्सीजन अवेलेबल इज लेस for the breakdown of the food. What happens in that case? जैसे कि मसल सेल्स में क्या होता है? ग्लूकोज breaks down into pyruvate in the absence of oxygen. Again क्या बनाना शुरू कर देता है? बाय प्रोडक्ट, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड और वाटर नहीं बनेगा, राइट? एनारोबिक ब्रेकडाउन स्टार्ट हो जाएगी ऑक्सीजन की एब्सेंस में, राइट? पाइरुवेट किस में ब्रेकडाउन करेगा? लैक्टिक एसिड एंड एनर्जी। किस में ब्रेकडाउन करेगा? लैक्टिक एसिड एंड एनर्जी में। तो मसल सेल्स में क्या हो रहा है? अंडर विगरस एक्सरसाइजेस व्हाट हैपेंस? ऑक्सीजन डेप्थ कमी होना, ऑक्सीजन की कमी होने से क्या होगा? एनारोबिक रेस्पिरेशन स्टार्ट हो जाएगी। तो मसल सेल्स में जो बाय प्रोडक्ट बनना शुरू हो जाएगा दैट विल बी लैक्टिक एसिड। और इस लैक्टिक एसिड के बनने से क्या होता है? टांगों में तेज दर्द होता है विच इज कॉल्ड एज मस्कुलर क्रैम्प्स कहते हैं, राइट? सो दिस इज aerobic and anaerobic respiration, or you can say different pathways by which the glucose is broken down into our body. I hope clear to you, right? Hurriedly एक बार फिर से recapitulate कर लेंगे. What are the different steps? Very important from examination point of view, right? Different pathways involved in the breakdown of the glucose, right? Common pathway क्या है? चाहे aerobic हो, चाहे anaerobic हो, चाहे fermentation हो. ठीक है, तो कॉमन पाथवे क्या है? ग्लूकोज विल ब्रेक डाउन इनटू पायरुवेट एंड दिस इज टेकिंग प्लेस इन द साइटोप्लाज्म. इफ इट एंटर्स इनटू माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया, दैट इज इन द प्रेजेंस ऑफ ऑक्सीजन, इट विल फॉर्म टू प्रोडक्ट्स, दैट इज कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड, water and energy. But if it is in the yeast or bacteria, it will form ethanol and carbon dioxide. If it is taking place in the muscle cells, that is during vigorous exercises and all that, what it is forming? Lactic acid and energy. ठीक है, तो is that clear to you? This is how the glucose is broken down using different ways or using different pathways, right? Now come to this respiration in different organisms. We will take up aquatic organisms later. Let us understand how respiration, other organisms में भी respiration हो रहा है. चाहे हम lower organisms की बात करें, चाहे हम higher की बात करें, तो सब में respiration is taking place. So how? There are different structures which help in the respiration. In case of amoeba या हम पैरामीशियम की बात करें तो इनमें रेस्पिरेशन कैसे होता है? बाय द प्रोसेस ऑफ डिफ्यूजन थ्रू द बॉडी सरफेस. तो कौन सा स्ट्रक्चर इन्वॉल्व है इनमें? बॉडी सरफेस, राइट? एंड इट इज टेकिंग प्लेस बाय डिफ्यूजन, राइट? अगर हम बात करें अर्थवर्म की, अर्थवर्म में जो रेस्पिरेशन है, इट टेक्स प्लेस थ्रू द क्यूटिकल प्रेजेंट ऑन द बॉडी सरफेस. और ये जो रेस्पिरेशन है, हम इसको एक नाम देते हैं विच इज कॉल्ड क्यूटेनियस रेस्पिरेशन भी कहते हैं. व्हाट इट इज कॉल्ड? क्यूटेनियस रेस्पिरेशन. इफ आई टॉक अबाउट आर्थ्रोपॉड्स, that is terrestrial arthropods, स्पेशली इंसेक्ट्स की बात करें, इंसेक्ट्स में भी एक रेस्पिरेटरी सिस्टम पूरी बॉडी में स्प्रेड है एंड दैट सिस्टम इज कॉल्ड ट्रैकियल सिस्टम. इज दैट क्लियर? ट्रैकियल सिस्टम, क्या कहते हैं उसको? ट्रैकियल सिस्टम. और आई वुड से दैट ट्यूब्स, दे आर कॉल्ड ट्रैकिया, राइट? सो if I talk about prawns, which is a crustaceans, right? Prawns, that is aquatic arthropods, right? So what is the structure which is helping in respiration? They are the gills. Similarly, in case of fishes, the respiration takes place through the gills. And this type of respiration, in case of fishes, we call it as branchial respiration, right? So we are comparing the respiration in different organisms. How? कैसे? अमीबा या पैरामीशियम जो लोअर मोस्ट यूनिसेलुलर ऑर्गेनिजम्स की बात करें तो सिंपल गैसेस का एक्सचेंज कैसे हो जाता है? बॉडी सरफेस से डिफ्यूजन हो जाती है. अर्थवर्म में एक क्यूटिकल जैसा स्ट्रक्चर प्रेजेंट है बॉडी सरफेस के ऊपर, राइट? जिसके थ्रू एक्सचेंज ऑफ गैसेस होगा और इस रेस्पिरेशन को हम क्या कहते हैं? क्यूटेनियस रेस्पिरेशन. अब हम टेरेस्ट्रियल आर्थ्रोपॉड्स की बात करें तो इनमें क्या है? ट्रैकियल सिस्टम है विच हेल्प्स इन रेस्पिरेशन. अगर हम बात करें एक्वाटिक arthropods, which one example we have taken prawn, so gills are the mode of respiration, right? And in case of fishes we have gills, right? And this respiration in fishes we call it as branchial respiration. Very important point from examination point of view, I would say कि जो rate of breathing है वो aquatic organisms में क्या है? faster है. Rate of breathing in aquatic organisms is faster. Question आ जाता है, why the rate of breathing is faster in aquatic organisms? So answer is because the amount of dissolved oxygen in water is low. What is the answer? Amount of oxygen dissolved in water is low as compared to air. So they need to breathe faster to take in more oxygen into their body. I'll repeat, why rate of breathing is faster in case of aquatic organisms? Because the amount of dissolved oxygen in water is comparatively lesser as compared to the oxygen present in the air. So the rate of breathing is faster in aquatic organisms. Is that clear to you? I hope this respiration in organisms is clear, right? We will continue with the same topic in the next video. Till then, goodbye.